The next thing I think I'm going to work on is improving the staff here, really bringing it from kind of the mid-tone green that it is right now and really darkening and depthening the underside of the staff with green and some of these ivy places that I've done. And then taking that same green and adding a little bit of our yellow contrast to it and really trying to push that value a little bit brighter on all of the edges. That's kind of the next step we're gonna do.
Can you say that one more time? What's the next step? It's the ivy staff. You're
Yeah,
gonna do.
I'm gonna go through all of my green portions here, and I'm going to enrichen the green, kind of bring in more purposeful highlights, really separate and block out that color from other colors. Because right now my green on my staff is very muted, right? It's
Mhm.
definitely green and it definitely reads as green, but right now it's just kind of muddly, right? I want to separate the fingers from the staff by putting more shadow underneath my fingers. Um, really do the same thing over here with this ivy. Over here is separate those colors, really block them in a little bit better. Bring in some highlights, some really nice bright um, yellows with a little white probably mixed in and a little bit of the green mixed in, and just push those tones up is what I'm going to do. Once I'm happy with the uh, tone of the bark is what I'm going to be working on next. That's something that I feel like I didn't really get a nice depth to on the first go around.
Okay. I'm jumping in actually on the blue skin. So one of the things I picked up from one of the people in the class was I think it was Redborn.
Yeah.
The had a different blue that he used. And I'm not using a different blue. I'm just using the contrast mixed with the elfish flesh.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna work on um, kind of building up my highlights
Yeah.
on the blue.
Yep.
More contrast there, and then I think I'll probably join you on the leaves. I'd like to do something with the bark, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to do that today. I think I need to pick up a brown contrast
Sure.
and then work from there. I think
Yep.
that's step one.
No, and I'm definitely that's something that I need to do with my skin as well. Because right now it reads on camera like there's some intentional white highlights there. But what I really want to do is make it seem more smooth because it's kind of heavily textured right now because of the dry brush. So I'm going to move it and do more like this kind of um, real smooth from the dark contrast blue and then bring it all the way up to a really nice kind of sky blue. So definitely, definitely on the docket for today to get that skin to read as kind of ethereal and perfect and smooth and his that paint that he used is a perfect little mid-tone, and you guys are more than welcome to always use any kind of material you have that'll help you. I just try and keep the paint list accessible. I don't want people, oh, I got a paint class coming up. Let me go, open up a new line of credit, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I have a similar blue from Citadel. It's I think it's no, let's see, Lutheran blue. So I have a similar blue that I would probably use. I'm gonna do it just with contrast paints and the white paint though, just because it's always nice to use um, different bottles of paint for different, like tones, so long as they like really mesh well. But sometimes the best effects I get is using the original paint and adding a little bit of white to it if it works. Of course, red doesn't work that way. Orange doesn't work that way. And yellow can kind of get a little less yellow and more, kind of pastel-y with the same brightness. But with your blues, your purples, um, your browns and all those kind of colors, they take white really well. So, but having the original color and mixing with the original color, I find that it gives it um, more of a homogeneous feeling, if that makes sense. Like it reads a little bit better, unless you have like a nice, really perfect mid-tone. It's actually what I really like about the Vallejo game color, that you can buy a pack of 4 paints, right? And it comes with the darkest paint in that range and the lightest paint in that range, but they all read really well together, so you can really stack them really well. It's one of my probably favorite purchases of paint that I've had. They call it the I think it's the BSL system. Their base, shadow, and light, which is your mid tone, your shade, and your highlight. But yeah, if you have paint and you know it's gonna look good and it's gonna go down right, then feel free to use it. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, your model, make it yours. Also, as a little bit of announcement, my job. So my actual day job, I'm a commercial superintendent, electrician. So I build buildings. It's really quite intense sometimes, and right now is that intense portion where we're trying to finish up this job. And I'm hoping next week will be my last week, and so I don't have to be doing all this crazy demanding stuff for work, and I'll be able to hang out with you guys more and stream more and bring back a little more attention. I do apologize. I just haven't had a ton of time. I
In real life comes first.
Yeah, I would love, dude, if I could tomorrow just quit my job and hang out with you guys and make
Hey,
content, and I would do it in a heartbeat. But fortunately, I got a mortgage. If I was in my
yeah,
early 20s, man.
understand.
Gotta be able to pay for more paint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm pretty happy with how my bark is looking. I'm gonna come back through once all this shade is dry, but I really like how deep my shadows are on all these ridges. You're, the fun thing about this bark is it actually kind of mimics a cloak kind of well, with like how the hips and the shapes are. So this is actually pretty good practice for when you're doing cloaks, because you always want to kind of follow the lines of the cloak and shade it as needed. So I'm getting pretty happy with my shadow here. I'm gonna move to the hands and the her kind of cowl, her like crest of horns and thorns and whatnot, and then do her kind of her mask and helm piece. But I'm getting pretty happy with this. I'm going to put a little shadow around her fingers, so then I can come back and brighten those up so you can really tell that those are fingers holding the staff and not just, random bits of twig. So yeah, today's class is just kind of, take time on your model. If you have a question, let me know. Just really trying to push it to that, you know, as perfect as you can get it. And then the next class will be a really short, simple class. We're going to do the glow effects on all the rune patterns, and maybe make her eyes glow. Just kind of give her a little more character, make her look like a mystical wizard, which will be fun. But yeah, today is just kind of doing the little bits of detail, a little bit of paint here and there, cleaning it up, making each individual section of it really its own masterpiece.
That
This
sounds good.
this is generally how I paint too. I'll just get it going, right? I'll get the base colors in, like we did in the beginner class. I'll get the base colors in. I'll get my shadows going. I'll get everything pretty much set and how I want it to be. And then, if I'm doing like an army, like a Warhammer army, and it's just a grunt, that's where it stays. I'm totally happy with that. Little minion models look great at the level that we painted the beginner class in, especially when they're all put together. They look really cool. But if it's like a character model or something a little more important, I'll do this stage afterwards. I'll spend another hour or two just kind of cleaning it up, really brightening things, popping things in, making it a little more unique.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah,
Uh, I went with green for my leaves, and
sure.
I really like the color and the way it looks. So I kind of went with that yellow, blue,
Yeah,
um, and green, and I really like the way the green looks. But I don't know how to approach the highlights. So what we did before, or what I did before, was I think I dry brushed on a lighter green, and I have a very dark shade within the center, but it really doesn't have the contrast that I want. I want like it to be a little bit lighter of a color and to pop a little bit more.
yeah.
But I don't know how to approach that. Um, do I just dry brush lighter with a lighter green, or do you recommend going in and like I don't know how would you approach the leaves with
I would take um if you have a yellow paint, I would take the original. Like if you had a really nice, strong, powerful yellow like this guy here.
I do actually, yeah. I have a Pro Aquarel Warm Yellow I just got.
Yeah, that's oh yeah,
Yeah.
that should be perfect then.
Mini
Um,
Synth Pro Aqu is kind of very similar to this set, so or this color set that we're using.
yeah. I would take that. I would go about probably 60 to 70% that yellow and about 30
Okay.
30% of your original green. And then I would kind of do just a little test spot on that. Green, honestly, the best way to highlight green is actually with yellow because it gets to a stage that green just kind of I don't know why, but it just it doesn't come up in tone. But if you notice out in like the wilds, right, like if you go outside and look at like a tree and the light's coming through the tree leaves, you'll actually see that it doesn't turn to yellow. It still has that very lime green kind of vibe to it, but it definitely gets close to like near yellow, you know? So you can definitely just use a little bit of yellow with your original green and turn it into like a really punchy, bright lime green color. And then you can dry brush the leaves with that, or you can hand paint it. The way I hand paint highlights on is I actually use the side of my brush most of the time. So I'll take my paint. So if I was to, let me see, I don't think I have any paint left on here that hasn't dried. Let me see if I can rescue some of it. So, for instance, like I want to bring my highlight back in on some of the tops of this. I'll actually just kind of touch it, the side of my brush here. And that's how I would go through and do the highlights for your leaves is I would just touch the sides of this with just my hand. That's kind of the next stage of highlighting is really being more mindful and doing edge highlighting with a brush, which you don't want the brush like sopping wet. You want it nice and full of paint, and then you just want to carefully kind of just touch it with the side of your brush. That's how you can get way more controlled highlights. So that's what I would do. I'd make a nice bright lime green, and then just go through and do these very intentional spots of highlight, like what I'm doing right here, just with the side of my brush. I'm literally kind of like tapping it. So I'm not using the tip. I'm using probably an eighth of an inch into the brush from the tip, and I'm just tapping it. That's how I'm going to get these fingers to really pop out. But yeah, some of the interactions between colors can be kind of difficult. You know, I really wish that all paints you could just add white and black to, and you can do that, you know, and just make the exact color you want through that. But unfortunately, it's that pigmentation and the actual like power of each different color, and whether it takes white on, and like blue takes white really well. It just turns into a softer blue. That's why I really love blue. Painting with blue is it's just easy to control and easy to manipulate. Same thing with black. It takes black very well, and you can really change the tone of those colors. But some of these colors, it's definitely takes a little bit of practice and experience to know how mixing it will end up, affecting it one way or another. Actually, I think I might come back with a little bit of my mid-tone, bring some color, kind of some warmth back into some of these portions of the bark here. This is the stage that I really enjoy doing. This is kind of the really fun portion where you're just kind of playing around, you're having fun.
You like the details.
I do. The details are what make the model original,
Sorry,
you know.
it's true.
It's what's going to make yours stand out, from the run of the mill, just taking your time at this step.
Whole
This
thing's
it,
been super useful, by the way. Like, I definitely appreciate you kind of going through the whole process, because
oh, of
I
course,
feel
yeah.
like I've seen videos on all of like the individual parts and pieces, but I don't know, like even stuff like color theory, right? Like color theory makes sense in my head, but then it's sort of hard to visualize, right? But then when you
Yeah.
have the color theory, conversation alongside of, the model that you had, where you kind of went through and showed why and you selected each of the colors, it made it click a little better.
Sweet.
Um, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, thank you, man. I'm again, this is all kind of new, so I really appreciate that kind of feedback because I didn't know if maybe color theory would be I don't know. For me, as I've gotten further into like my painting experience, I've kind of realized how crazy important it is. And when I first started painting, and I was looking up all these videos, and I was, trudging through the wilderness of painting by myself, I didn't see any information about it, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe like maybe it's not that big a deal, or maybe one or two tutorials brought it up, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, but the further I get in, I realized some of my models I just chose terrible colors for, and they can be as you can have the best, absolute, most amazing skill for painting a model, but if the colors just aren't, they're not vibing with whatever you're doing, the model, no matter what, will just come out kind of lackluster. So I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to make a kind of a large, um, a big stink about it. And it's not something, I'm not perfect at it, but even just having it in the back of my mind and trying to build upon those concepts each time I paint, it gets me a little bit closer to, whatever that artist ideal is. But yeah, I really appreciate that feedback. That's kind of the reason a lot of this is just kind of, you know, it seems like chaotic and like I'm I'm just trying to I'm kind of throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and using your guys' reaction and seeing, you know, what helps you guys the best.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's been good. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I understand everything you said about, you know, kind of going through it for the first time or whatever, but it definitely, I don't know. I felt like it worked well.
Sweet. Good. This stage that we're doing right now, this is the stage that, like, when you see those like crazily painted models on like Instagram and stuff, what we're doing right now is basically what they'll do for like for a model of this size, for one that they put in like a competition piece. They'll do this stage for easily 15 to 20 hours, if not more. They'll sit here and they will work on every single portion until it's like absolutely perfect. And a lot of those amazing paintings that you see, you could do that too. I'm telling you right now, you can do it. It's just the time sink, right? And the willingness to repaint something over and over again until it is exactly what you want it to be. But this is the stage that is really what a lot of those like crazy professional Instagram painters, that's what they're doing. They're doing this, they're thinning their paints like crazy, and they're just doing little baby layers for forever. Like right now I lost a little bit of my mid-tone when I added all this shade. I really like the shade, but I want to bring back that mid-tone. So right now I'm just kind of slowly going through here. And I'm going to add in a bit of my grunge brown mixed a little bit with my elfic flesh, or not my elfic, my barbarian skin, wherever I feel it's necessary. But this is the stage where I think not a whole lot of people are willing to. They'll do like their beginner class model, which is what we did, right? And they'll get done with it, and they're like, "Cool, done, sweet, looks sick." And there's nothing wrong with that. That's definitely, you can stop and be happy with it. But this is why we're doing the intermediate class, is to really try and advance this model and kind of push the boundaries of exactly how amazing we can get it, you know? Good exercise too. Sometimes, so I'm putting this mid-tone in, and right now I'm not too happy with how it's not blending into its surrounding color. So that's fine. I've accepted it. I've committed. I've already put it a little too much everywhere. But it is warming it up quite a bit, which I do like. But now what I'll have to do is I'll then have to go back in and bring out some more of my highlight and midtone, like the in between my highlight and midtone. So mixed with elfic flesh and my grunge brown, or my barbarian skin with my grunge brown. I'll have to kind of blend that up into my highlight, and then do probably even another layer of elfic flesh with my barbarian skin, and then finally let my highlight be just the very tips of things with the elfic flesh. So just something I'm accepting as I'm doing this, that I'm gonna have to go back through and just kind of re-highlight, but that's okay, because I am getting that warmth that I wanted originally. So why are you guys painting? Are you painting for like a Dungeons and Dragons? Are you painting for painting's sake? Are you into wargaming at all? What's your guys' motivations?
All of the above, but I think the top priority for me is I just like to paint. It's kind of relaxing, and I'm surrounded by art all day, but I don't do a lot of art. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I 100%. I'll be honest, for every 100 hours of probably every 1,000 hours of painting I've done, I've only probably played, the game for an hour, So I definitely assimilate with that.
Yeah, for me, it started with D&D, but then sort of similar. I just found that like it's relaxing after work or
Oh yeah.
whatever. So like it's a good way to just sort of chill and let my brain like do nothing for a minute. Um, so like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still like all the stuff I'm painting is still hopefully going to end up on the D&D table at some point. But
For sure.
yeah, I'm enjoying it more and more just for painting's sake.
Yeah, the meditative process, the creative process, I feel like every person has it inside themselves. It doesn't mean it needs to be painting. Some people it's, baking or, working with your hands, carpentry or, whatever it may be. But I think it's crucially important, especially in our crazy world, to have some kind of outlet that allows you to just turn off the brain, turn off the noise.
Yep, for
No,
sure.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, we're all of the same mind when it comes to painting.
I've been really enjoying painting, kind of getting back more into the miniature side of things because I took on a stupidly large terrain project
Yeah,
for a while. That's consumed most of my painting time, so it's nice to set that aside for a minute and kind of focus back on some minis.
yeah, that's awesome.
Just
Terrain
so
can
much more
be,
detail.
yeah, terrain's fun. Terrain's, I did like a 64 by 44 like battle map with um, like hills and valleys and sculpt and mold and all this stuff. And I did like grass and trees and rocks, and I did a lake inside of it and everything. And it was
Jeez.
a mess. I did two different tables. I did one that was like a Mars kind of landscape, and then one that was like a foresty terrain for our Warhammer games. And it was sick and it was fun, but I was so glad to be done with it by the time I was done with it. I was like,
Yep.
I'm probably never gonna do something that intense ever again, just because man, it's a commitment. Terrain's cool. Terrain, you have to have cool terrain, in a lot of these, game systems, because, you put down your like 1,000 hours of paint, miniatures, and then you just put like a gray plastic brick next to it, and you're like, that's ruins, and you're like, okay, like
Yeah. Yep.
kind of removes the vibe. So it's definitely a necessary evil, but yeah, if I had it my way, I'd be painting models every day. So yeah, I'm just going through. I'm kind of warming up all of this, right? Where it's become a little too stark. My mid-tone was completely washed out by the shades and the highlights. So I'm just going through, warming all this wood up, making it a little more, healthy. A nice healthy aspeny oak color instead of like just a swampy, dark brown and white phosphorus kind of color. So we're getting there though. Getting closer to being happy with it. The nice thing about painting organic things is you don't need to make them read as perfect either. Like I want this wood to have different flavors and textures, and wherever you look at it, it's a little bit different. It's a little more interesting. It's a little more unique everywhere you look, just because that's how nature is. Different seasons of growth, and how I've kind of pictured this ivy sorceress is, it was just a piece of maybe living or close to dying wood, and some invaders came into the forest, and this living forest dryad spirit kind of thing embodied the wood. You know, it wasn't grown around her, but she kind of burst out of the center of the trunk and became a part of the forest to defend it. Is kind of the narrative I've built in my head. I don't know if you guys do that with your models, but I always try. I'm just kind of thinking to myself like, what is this model? What's its goals? What's the purpose? You know, what's the environment in it? And that kind of helps me, you know, put detail into it that makes it a little unique and original and interesting to whatever I'm wanting it to be.
That makes sense. That sort of like, I don't know, that storyline kind of helps with like color selection. I felt like.
Yeah, yep, exactly. You know, like giving a little more backstory. It's a lot easier to play a D&D character with actual backstory, you know?
Right.
Same is true uh for painting a model, I feel like giving it a little bit of a history makes it a little easier to paint. Plus, I've never been like a super perfectionist painter. I like my things to be what I'm really trying to paint is realism at the best I can, which is my excuse to not painting like perfectly because life isn't perfect. So by giving it a story, you can then add, you know, battle damage or rust or, you know, little effects that gives it an origin. I actually might be using this model in my Sons of Bahamut army. I'm doing a narrative game at the local game store. I mean, I went once and they've had like 4 sessions since, but eventually I'll go again. You know? But with the narrative, we all follow this book that they've released from Warhammer. It's called oh man, something guy ran. I can't remember the name of it right now. But their narrative is there's a forest planet and or forest realm, and it's ran by the druidic god. Uh, can't remember her name. Asmodel or as something like that. Anyways, she's a forest kind of being, and this army is based off of her lore. So this is a proxy army of the original Warhammer army, and in defense of her homeland, um, she rises up beings to like fight off the intruders to her perfect, you know, wildlife and nature preserve, and the demons of Nurgle, which is the demons of pestilence and plague in Warhammer. They have overrun her realm and have infected and brought plagues and rot throughout her entire realm. And so, but the Book of Gyran, you either pick to make the rot worse and play an army that's trying to destroy the forest, or you pick an army that's trying to help the forest dryads, and you go through kind of this narrative campaign as you're playing with your friends.
That's cool. That'd be fun.
It's very cool. Yeah, I decided to make my Sons of Bahamut, which are all those giants I've been painting on stream for a while. I wanted them to be for the forest, so they're actually druidic giants, and my reasoning was because the pestilence and rot that the Nurgle had brought to the realm has made it so all the humans and elves and dwarves that the giants usually eat have run dry. So there are food supplies literally dying off because of Nurgle. So they're teaming up with the forest dryads so that the human population can rebuild so we have some more food. So kind of a good guy, evil motive. But yeah, you make a very custom army, and you can do a whole bunch of different custom rules, create an entire custom army if you want. And so I'm going to use that rule set to give myself a um, sorcerer, and this is like a perfect model for it. I'm really excited about it. So, and,
Nice.
and eventually I am going to do a Sylvanesh army. I think I really like the idea of they're not elves; they're quite literally like spirit-like
It's
beings.
dryads, almost like kind of what we're painting right now,
Yep,
right?
yep, exactly. But I
I've
do
seen a
like,
lot of wet techniques with them that look really cool.
yeah. There's a lot of glow effects that you can do that I'm gonna try. I This will be kind of a new thing for me is trying to do a ghost effect. I've never painted like a ghostly like airbrush, so it's basically your run-of-the-mill OSL at the end of the day, but to make it not look like a just a glowing lantern, but more of a ghostly presence, that'll be interesting. So we're gonna attempt to do that in the advanced class. So I'll probably put that on in a week or two from now, and
Right.
so that's really what we're preparing for is getting it to a level where we can just put in the glow effects and the craziness there.
And you were gonna use the same model for that, right?
Correct. Yeah. All of these, like, like the little runic kind of knot etchings in her. The one underneath her right hip. There's another one on her left, her back left, and this middle portion here. We're gonna
This
do, yeah, the little swirlies. We're gonna do glow
got it.
effects in those.
That's cool. Okay, so I've been like shading those. So
Yeah, no, that's fine. Paint it as normal. So, um,
right.
you want it to actually be painted as normal as possible because technically those glow effects are going to be, you know, just like tinting that area, if that makes sense. So painting it as normal makes the glow actually read as normal, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, would you paint like if I was to like click a light on like a flashlight and point it at like a blue wall, that flashlight will just be brighter on the blue wall. But if
The modifier, not the underlying color. It modifies this like the surface, not
exactly,
like you know.
yep. So having that foundation underneath it makes it read a lot better. So yeah. I'm getting pretty close on my bark. I'm pretty happy with it. I might hit up a little more elfic flesh. Let's see. See how I like that. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. Can I just tell you guys how happy I am that it's spring? It's been not a brutal winter, just God, I needed it,
I
Needed
still
that.
feel like we're
Hmm.
not there yet. We're getting closer, but
We're like on the cusp, like we're getting like 70-degree days and then it'll shift back to like 30-degree days and you're like, what's going on, But those 70-degree days are magical, especially when you work construction. You're just like,
Yeah,
oh,
no kidding.
yeah. And we only generally get like, I feel like we only get maybe 2 or 3 weeks in between, maybe 2 weeks in between summer and winter where you're like, oh, it's so nice out. And then boom, it's now 90 degrees, or boom, it's back to 30 degrees. And you're like, it was nice. It's nice. So I don't know if you guys can, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more, kind of see more of what I'm doing here. But yeah, we're just going in and doing. Doing those little finished touches. They take time. Really dialing in. I might mix a little of my grunge brown in with my barbarian skin a little bit more to try and maintain that warmth a little bit better. How's your guys' coming? You seeing improvement?
Yeah. And what I've worked on, I see a big improvement. I've worked on the skin, and I'm really, really happy with that.
Nice.
It's a big improvement. I've worked on the edge highlighting for the leaves, which I really like. And I worked a little bit on highlighting the staff, more so the plumage toward the blade.
Yeah.
Which I really like. I did try a little edge highlighting the staff, and felt like it was very blocky, and I know you can probably glaze that out.
Yeah.
I I didn't even like the blocky placement that I had, so I kind of glazed it out more with the contrast. Just I hit it with another layer of contrast, and I, I, the highlight is still somewhat there, and I like it a lot more. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm thinking about the blade itself,
Sure.
and how I could edge highlight that. That's my next,
Yeah.
I think, endeavor.
You can try if you're not getting like a really good highlight and you don't want to actually like hand paint edge highlighting, because honestly, I'm not a big fan of highlighting like edge highlighting weapons. For some reason, I can't ever get a nice smooth finish on it. You can always go with dry brush and just dry brush the edges on, and then hitting it with your contrast, like a really thin contrast, and that'll give you a nice effect usually.
Okay.
Because then
That's
that nice sharp yellow you're looking for. Since you dry brush that white, it'll just darken your nice mid tone and your shadow with the translucent contrast, and then it'll tint that sharp white highlight you did with the dry brush your highlight color, your yellow. I do that quite often. I do that with most of my power swords. And I was about to do something. I can't remember what it was. This one. That's what we're about to do. I'm pretty happy with my bark. The face could do more work on, but we're just gonna be okay with it. We're gonna be okay with it mainly because we're gonna do probably some like glowing yellow eyes or something. And so we can. Oops, I don't want that one. So we'll leave that one. That's fine.
What did you end up doing with the cow? I don't remember. Is that just also bark
Yeah,
colored, or did you
I
change
just
it?
I just did mine bark color. I'm gonna make it more interesting with kind of the glow. What I'll do is I'll make the staff really radiant yellow, and I'll probably airbrush the backside of her cowl and head, like right here, like spray as if the line of this weapon is going to be glowing right here. So I'll make it interesting through that glow
Interesting.
effect, and then I'll do whatever color we end up doing for all the swirls, which will probably be blue. I'll probably paint kind of a blue glowing effect coming out of the eyes, which will make the cowl a little more poppy. Looking back, I could have done it maybe green, like it's a um, fresh grown kind of bark, and that could have read well. But I don't know. I think with the glow effects, it'll make it really nice and interesting. It is kind of a. It's not that it doesn't read well. It's just a little too much brown. You know, is
Yeah,
kind of what
that's.
I'm feeling.
I went back and added some more green, like tried to just for that reason, right? Of
Break it
like,
up a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, like I really liked the leaf. I did the leaves pink, and like I really liked the pop of the leaves. And then I had a bunch of green on like the one arm that's extended, and like the green and the brown and the
Yep.
pink all look great together. But then the rest of the model didn't have the green to go with it. So that's kind of what I've been trying to fix up today has been some of the spots I picked out for green.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, my green is very muted. It's very calm, so I think I'm going to bring in like a lot of really nice sharp yellowish lime green highlights to make it a little more stand out. Make it read a little bit better. But I wish honestly in this model that the cowl didn't exist. I really like the cowl, but instead of having all the feather or the leaves on the cowl, I would have rather have more of a bouquet on her head, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
right now the cowl kind of takes the front seat with the coolness of the upper portion of the model, which is fine. It's very
yep.
cool. I just um, I always
Should have been more
do.
on the head.
Yeah, I always try and make the brightest portion of the model and the most interesting portion of the model this triangle right here. I call it my lighting triangle. So from head to hand, everything here across the chest, I always put the most amount of work and detail in because you want the eye to naturally zoom in there. I generally, below that triangle, I'll even darken the model more and more. So it almost like fades into kind of a calmer, doesn't mean less detail, just the contrast of it will draw the eye more towards that center point by applying more of a brighter contrast to the upper portion.
That's interesting.
I at least I try to do that. So like this guy, you can definitely see how this is the triangle right here from horn to kind of his shoulder.
Yeah,
The idea there was to really force the eye to look up,
yeah.
kind of the
I mean
same.
that makes sense though. Like most of the models feel like they're designed that way.
Yeah, yeah. Where the coolest stuff
So
needs to be at the head.
yeah.
Oh, my paint dried on my brush. Rookie move. Did
So for
that?
the
Go ahead.
go ahead.
You first.
Okay, I was going to move on for you're talking about the advanced class and doing
Oh yeah,
some
yeah.
OSL stuff because one of the things that I was thinking about maybe changing was I felt like the yellow contrast I had on the weapon blade
Mm-hmm.
um, over time kind of darkened on me.
Sure.
I was thinking about brightening that up, but I mean, if we're doing OSL, maybe I just leave it for now. And
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do. I'll probably do. Probably if you have access to an airbrush, that's the best method to do it.
yeah,
Um, but I will go over like how to hand paint it into more of a glow, and in doing so, that'll probably make your weapon read more yellow, anyways. You know,
cool.
more closer to what you want it to look like.
That sounds good. Yeah, I've got a airbrush, so
Perfect.
it should be fine.
Yeah, the advanced class, it's not mandatory to have an airbrush, but most of the things we're going to be doing at that level will definitely be a lot easier with an airbrush. I'm decent at painting OSL, but painting OSL and airbrushing OSL, those are two different, you get two very different kind of qualities out of it.
Sure. Sounds like a fun way to speed run my mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I'll be like, I think that needs to glow, and I'll just spray the ever shit out of whatever I hated that I did. I've done that plenty of times. Oh, oops, too much. I don't know if I talked about this trick, but you can quite literally just wipe off paint if you don't like it. Like I just take my finger and wipe it off. before it dries or does anything. It'll leave a little bit of a kind of a skid mark of the color, but nothing that you can't work with still.
Another thing I found that's really helpful is if I'm painting on an area that doesn't have a lot of paint drying around it, or I know I'm not gonna mess anything up, I will clean my brush, dip my brush in my clean water, and then just swirl it on the area I messed up if I need to like
Oh
restart.
yep. Clean it right
Or
off.
paper towel
That's
and
interesting.
reset the area that you're working with, and
Yep.
yeah, if I find I don't like something, or even if I make a I did that once or twice while doing the highlights where I was heavy handed and hit a whole leaf with a highlight and went to completely cleared off.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that when it's like a widespread area where I was like, all right, I just messed this all up, and I'll just with white water and or clean water, it'll come off. I feel like that's something people don't talk about too. Like a lot of people assume that the moment the paint goes on, you can't take it off. You can if you're quick, you can just pop it right off and try again. Except contrast paints. For some reason, I feel like contrast paints, there's almost like a alcohol or some kind of substance about them. You know what I'm saying? Like they're they like just embed themselves so quickly. At least some of the blue is mainly what I'm thinking of when I'm talking about this. That blue contrast paint is a powerful little demon. I mean, it's whatever you do with it, it's now that, you know.
I haven't really had to remove a lot of contrast paint, so I don't know. Typically, when I work with contrast paint, I'm just kind of like slopping it on, not
Sure.
like the little tiny areas. So like if I run into a contrast paint I haven't liked, I've just repainted it.
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes if you get it on a little portion you don't want to, you can clean it off, but yeah, contrast paint. I love contrast paint. I don't know if that's been translated yet, but man,
Only a
I,
couple times.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it gets a bad rap because at least in a lot of the videos I've seen, like people are always talk smack on contrast paints. Like, dude, it's just a really good tool to have in your toolbox. It doesn't mean, you know, I don't paint everything with contrast paints. I would if I could, but I think they're abused. They're abused by the marketing around them, because I think the marketing around contrast paints, they're marketed for a instant perfect paint, which there's no such thing. You know, you can't just use one product and just be like, oh, this is perfect and done. I think that's why
Right.
they get a bad rap.
Yeah. They're definitely not that, but they save a ton of time, I feel like.
They do. They do. It's it's the basing plus the shade in one pass is amazing. Trying to make these vines look more viney.
I think I'm gonna look for a contrast brown if I have one, because I think that's the only thing I really have that I really want to improve upon here.
Yeah. Like I said, this class is just more about hanging out, seeing if I can't help you guys get to that next level. If you're happy with it, then uh, feel free to just call it. Honestly, that's also a skill in painting.
You know,
Knowing when to just be like, this is good enough. This is where I want it to be. Like messing with it more is going to ruin what I have, and I have done it so many times where I'm like, oh, if I just did that right there, that would, and then I just ruin it. And I'm like, ah, then I have to repaint that back to where it was.
hmm.
But yeah, I probably I just need to do this and finish doing all this green here. And then I will do my skin real fast. I think I'll be in a spot where I'll be pretty happy about it um, for the advanced class. So, do you guys have any opinions on the next model? I did want to talk to you about that.
Did we decide on one?
Yeah,
Or was it still vote?
yeah. Whatever you want to vote, whatever the chatting is, make your opinion heard. We don't, we. I gave it. I sent it. I let Resin Reborn basically because they have the licensing for a bunch of these, but not all of them, kind of thing. And so if we do a class for one of them, they sometimes have to purchase the like it's a specific business license that allows them to print the model and distribute it. So I let them just show all the models that they are willing to um, print and distribute and pay that little fee, whatever that may be. So whatever they've posted is whatever we can paint, and I really don't care what we paint. I think there's so many cool things out there, and I think every different model will be an interesting experience where we can all learn and enjoy something new from, you know?
I liked all the ones that they posted, so I'm on board for any one of them, really.
I know that's kind of my opinion. Every one of them I look at, I'm like, oh my god, that's cool, you know?
It's kind of tough. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm happy with all of them. They've all got some interesting different features, and like honestly too, I feel like the biggest thing for me too is because I'm not doing this for, well, I guess really for my D&D table. It's kind of been a little more freeing of like
Yeah, yep, yep.
I'm trying the things you're saying and I'm learning more stuff from it as opposed to just doing the same stuff I already know over and over again, and like being okay if I just screw it up and then have to, go back and repaint it or whatever because I'm trying something new and I'm
Yep.
learning more out of it that way.
Yeah,
So,
I want to say the first probably 3 years that I painted, I kind of learned how to do one kind of style, and I just didn't ever try anything different for the longest time. And yeah, experimenting and being okay with making mistakes. A lot of that's because I was painting the same army, and so once I didn't want to like change anything up. You know, I was painting the
yep,
same like two armies, and so it's hard to experiment because you're like, well, I can't
it's
change
supposed to
this
look the
one.
same as everything else.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back through,
Yep,
and that'll be like hours of work, you know. So it is. This has been really fun for me too, because now I don't have any. It's the same thing, you know. We can just have some fun and paint cool things, and no matter what, they're gonna look cool in our display cabinet. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
yep.
So, but it does help them because I don't care, and they want me to choose, but I don't want to choose. So, I think uh, whatever you think is the absolute coolest or whatever you're the most excited for, maybe pick two or three and just mention it in the chat, and that'll help them out because they want to do all of them. Like we
Sure.
have we have a little just chat between us for planning and whatnot, and they're constantly sending me, "Can we do this one?" I'm like, yeah, sure." "Can we do that one?" I'm like, Absolutely." So what I'm trying to get us to do is maybe a bust next. I've never painted a bust, so I think it would be a really cool exercise for doing skin. So finding a really cool
Hmm.
model for uh, that's majorly kind of skin, maybe some cool armor and a face. And I feel like that'd be a really fun model to really solidify painting skin, which I actually wasn't that good at until recently when I did those giants, because the giants are 60% of it is skin. So I've kind of got it down to a science it's quite. I don't want to call it easy, but it's definitely replicable. You know, with a little bit of practice. But yeah, if you just want to let them know what you're interested in, that'll help us be able to set up the next one. that's just the one thing we're kind of hesitant to do right now. I'm really liking how this green is coming out. How's your guys' green? I'm just using this really nice bright fluorescent kind of yellow here and being mindful of where I'm putting it, but I'm really enjoying how my staff is coming out.
I agree. I just put a photo in chat.
Oh, nice. Let me check it
Cool.
out. In the painting class section?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've definitely solidified a lot of those colors. That's looking good, dude. It's looking really good.
I think I might want to shade the staff one more time and maybe dry brush it to like dry brush highlight it.
Sure.
See where that gets. But I really like the leaves. I feel like looking at the skin in person, it looks a lot more blended than it does in the photo.
Yeah,
So,
dude, photos are so mean, dude. Photos are so mean. Tell me about it. I have so many troubles getting a good photo of these damn things.
like I
No,
can just glaze a little bit on the skin, but
yeah. Maybe just on the top of the I don't want to be, visceral
I'll
here,
take
but like the breasts, really pop them out. Give her Come on,
yeah.
do her a favor, dude. But yeah, no, it's looking really good. What's funny is I bought one of those paint mixers,
Yeah.
and I just still just use my hand. I feel like it doesn't. It makes it pretty good. Like what's the problem is like a lot of my paint will like kind of the particulates always build at the end at the very very bottom, and I feel like that thing doesn't mix it up unless I break that up a little bit, and then it mixes it really well.
Especially with the Citadel paints. That's kind of the reason I got it was because I had some older Citadel paints that I really wanted to kind of bring back, and they really looked separated. A lot of buildup in the ground. And, if you sit it there for like a minute, it will break it up. But you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That is.
Well, I don't know what it is about Citadel paints. Like I generally I try to only use their shades and contrast at this point because I feel like their layer paint and their base paint, they just they don't age well. They dry in the little topper, and people are always like, "Oh, I transfer it." I'm not gonna transfer it, okay? I'm not that crazy about it. So you know, so for most of my like run of the mill acrylics, I really like Vallejo Game Color. I do want to try some Pro Acryl. I've heard nothing but amazing things from Pro Acryl. Um,
Like Barackle. So I haven't gotten like deep into them, but like everyone I've used is really, particularly their white. Like I've used their white for a while. And their white's really good.
nice, yeah. I feel like some of the colors. See, I just hate their bottles too. Have you guys seen my TikTok where I knocked over the bottle?
Yeah.
Oh, the Citadel one.
Yeah,
The
dude. Have
aggressive.
you read the comments in there? It is a war zone. I didn't think it's like one of my most popular videos, which is ironic because it's the most dramatic one, I guess. I just put in there like they're designed to fall, just like some angry nonsense. And boy, the whole internet it seems came out in Citadel's defense, and I'm like, okay, but like the bottle is a terrible design. That's just like the fact that you're all telling me I have to like transfer it is just like making my point. Like I shouldn't have to transfer a bottle.
Right. It should work as is.
Yeah, my God, it's so frustrating. That's funny, dude. I didn't think that would be my most popular video. It's just me dumping over half a bottle of contrast paint and just being like, "Oh, damn it!" Like these bottles suck, and everyone's like, "They don't suck. You're just dumb," And I'm like, "Okay, sorry, you're right," which is fair, But and then,
I mean, we're all gonna knock something over, but turns out the bottles do also stuff.
well, and like people are like, "You can just 3D print a holder for it," and I'm like, "This is." You shouldn't be having to do that, especially when they're like $9 for one paint bottle. Like, get out of town.
Right. You keep proving the point of
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's
Yes, I
funny.
could do other things for it, but I shouldn't ever have to.
Yeah, from the factory, it should just be ready to go. But I don't know. It's pretty funny. I might do another like hard stance position for another popular video. Apparently, like Citadel products suck, and here's why, or something
Yep.
stupid like that, dude. Apparently, it's crazy effective.
It drives engagement. It's wild. I've
Well,
seen, marketing things that say like people will just intentionally get something wrong.
oh yeah,
And it
yeah, I see those videos
leaps and
too.
bounds. Yeah.
This one guy, he does like freeze dry videos. I was listening to him on a podcast because he's like blew up, and I looked up a lot of information on how to make this your career kind of thing. And he's like, yeah, the thing that made me blow up like the most was actually just mispronouncing things I knew like wasn't how you're supposed to pronounce it. And the guy was like, really? And he goes, oh yeah, like, and then people in the comments just, that's not how that's pronounced. And then I would just be like, that's your opinion, like just inflame it. And he's like, really? That's how you got your channel blow up? He's like, yep. I'm not proud of it, but you know, it's effective. Yeah, and I had another video where it's like, this is the proper way to use contrast paints, just kind of the things that we've talked about already today about, how a wrong application of contrast paints just makes it even harder to get a good effect, And that's basically all that video was about. And apparently that was salacious as well, So, I don't know. It's funny. I like it, though. I like that people are passionate about this, There's no passion,
Yeah.
then what's the point? Be passionate. Make things. Life is about doing cool things and caring a lot about them. All right, I'm getting pretty close. How are you guys doing? I know you're
Yeah, I
just.
think I'm about done.
I'm getting there. I'm actually now attempting to glaze some of the blocky
Yeah. I really
blockiness
like your
and
staff. For some reason, it's showing your name as like S with dots. Is that just the streamer mode I think on?
it might
It's
be the streamer.
yeah, isn't it Sil? It's Sil, isn't it? For some reason, it's just saying S. Anyways, very cool, dude. Your staff, very well done. I really like your leaves. Like you're saying, you have a really nice, vibrant pop on your vines, and then your leaves are very beautifully pink, dude. This looks good.
Cool. Thanks.
Looks very good.
Yeah, it's I didn't have any of that green before. And I felt like that really brought the leaves out this time.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Gives them more of a foundation.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. I think I might head out. I got to go get ready to go pick up my kids. But
For sure.
this was a blast again, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out with us, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. The next one should be probably a little shorter than even this one. So the beginner class, I think, is going to be usually the longest class we'll do. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fair.
I'll
Cool.
catch you later.
All right, guys.
Right.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.
You too.
Being kind of lazy with the skin, but oh well. I don't want to say I ruined it, but I probably should have stopped messing with it.
I think I'm happier now with the little bit of glazing I did to kind of smooth those transitions.
Yep.
At least in the photo, I just threw up a second photo in the chat of the update to that.
Oh yeah. I definitely can see that. It looks really good. Yeah, you give it a little more definition to like the clavicle and the center line of the chest. Very good. Yeah, like that a lot.
I feel like light placement's going to be difficult. I really have been trying to think about that, and I've gotten slightly better, but that's a that's a skill that takes a lot of thought, and a lot of practice.
Yeah, with especially like humanoid figures, like female or male. Sometimes I'll bring up you know, a model, like an actual like photo of, a similar position or pose or stance with the lighting that's matches whatever I'm painting, and that gives me a really good reference as well to kind of make it read a little more realistic. I used to do a lot of figure study back in high school and college, and so I would just draw, you know, male and feminine figures over and over and over again. I originally wanted to do like comic book art way back when, and so it takes a lot of training to for the kind of the spots where the body um, collects light, specifically like feminine figures, dude. There's you have to do it just right because if you don't, people instantly it just reads wrong. You know, when people stare at each other all day, uh, humanoid figures are just about the most difficult to make perfect, just for that simple fact that everyone knows exactly what, a woman's chest or a male's, six pack or torso, or how arms and legs flex. Like, it's the hardest thing to like perfect, dude. It takes so much time. So I have mad respect for anyone who does comic book art, and in 5 minutes they can bust out a perfect like human in a perfect pose that's all atmospherically correct and everything. There's a lot of art to it, a lot of truth into the experience.
Good thing.
But yeah, I think I'm just about done with mine. I'm gonna have to wait for the skin to dry and probably just repaint the whole thing. I've my white paint that I used was shot out of the bottle like a demon, and it was all runny and gross. And instead of fixing it, I just sent it, and now we're dealing with this. So, but yeah, this is what I've got so far. Just kind of have gone through and, like I said, just kind of establish those clean lines, those, put in more of my shadow, put in more of my highlight, my midtone, warmed up the bark quite a bit, giving it structure and whatnot. Really, just taking the time. That's what the intermediate is taking it to that next level. You know. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it. It sounds like you're in a position you're happy with, that, which is awesome. I'm glad that you're making things the way you want to make them, getting them to where you want them to make them.
I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm actually going to get more with the skin now. I probably should stop here
Dude,
short.
I should have stopped too. But
Uh,
I'm gonna
I'm not doing anything very destructive. I'm doing very, very, very watered down glazes right now, but um, yeah, I'm actually really happy with this.
yeah, it's looking really good, dude. It's looking really good. But yeah, my lady was telling me, I was just talking to her about the class today, and she goes, "Well, make sure after you do the advanced class that you set up like a survey, maybe, maybe a fill in the blank kind of thing or comment." So I think after the advanced class, I'll put out a survey of what everyone enjoyed and what kind of issues they came up on that I should have addressed that maybe would have helped in the beginner class. So
I have one piece of feedback, and
yeah.
it's the only piece of feedback I can think. During the beginner class specifically,
Mm-hmm.
when you went over what we were doing, as you were going over it, you were doing it.
Yeah.
Um, so for people who are listening and trying to understand what it is that you're doing, it feels like you raced ahead. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
you felt like I was trying to play catch up with what you were doing. So like I
Gotcha.
was
Yep.
kind of half trying to do what you were doing while still listening to you, so I didn't
Yep.
get behind.
Yep.
And that's more of a, maybe it's a me problem, but
No, no, no. That's totally fair. I actually kind of like I watched the full class last time, and I realized as I was trying to put myself in your guys' position, and I was realizing I was doing what I was saying, like, but I was as I was doing it, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I was like, oh, I can see how they're getting confused because I'm talking about a topic, but I've already started doing it instead of being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna do it, and then now we're gonna begin and apply it, and then we'll apply it to the model. And I realized that as I was watching. So no, that's perfect feedback. It's exactly what I was kind of seeing myself. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
of course, beyond that, I mean, I've learned a lot. Both the first beginner class, I've learned more so by doing this class, but I've also learned from instruction here. So
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm having fun. Yeah, I will
Sweet.
actually run these. I'll stick around and
Hell yeah. Yeah, and
yeah.
after this set, and of course once my work calms down, I'm gonna probably accelerate and try and get this community to build up. You know, I'd really like to see maybe in a couple months, maybe like 15 people, hanging out with us too, and maybe even doing multiple classes and maybe multiple, um, eventually having multiple instructors too. So I have a couple friends on TikTok that are really, really, really good painters, and I've talked to them about it, and they seem interested in teaching their style as well. So then now we can have, you know, uh, more intense kind of group, uh, a group a nice think tank of a lot of different ways to accomplish the same goal or different means and methods that we can all then begin learning from. Because I'll be honest, some of these guys I'm talking to, I want to take a class that they put on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
because
Becomes a community where they learn. So I
exactly,
like that.
exactly. So everyone kind of building up upon each other, and posting things and cool things and the new model and just like some excitement. So I'm really excited in that next stage. So once we're complete with this Ivy Sorceress, this kind of test run, and I can get more established in kind of a teaching pattern and a more established schedule instead of kind of the randomness that we're doing right now, then we'll be able to really start accelerating more of an audience and bringing in more cool people like yourself, more friends, more cool guys.
I
So
did. Are you
pretty
still
excited.
streaming?
I haven't streamed in a minute. I'm streaming right now. I need to stream some more. you know, I'll put this one that we just did on YouTube when I hop off. But yeah,
Thank you so much for taking that time. I'm just going through and singing my brushes right now.
yeah, of course. I'm just gonna cut the stream right now. If you're watching the stream, check out my Patreon. If you'd like to join the painting class, you'll find out the information on there. On the Patreon, you'll also find the Discord where we all hang out. And yeah, join us. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the